What's going on, everyone, and welcome back for another video on Final Fantasy XIV with the Future Strategy Gaming channel. As always, I'm Drew, and in this video I want to talk about my enjoyment of the initial Arkasodara Tribe questline. Now, when it was introduced and announced that the Arkasodara would be the first Beast Tribe, I was pumped. I really like Thavnair. I think inherently it has a beautiful aesthetic and it really hits a lot of the motifs that I think Square Enix were going for. Learning about the great work, Rods at Han, and it being shut off from anybody coming in, and some of its history helped develop this zone into one of the better zones of the expansion, at least in my opinion. There's also a few interwoven details, like the non-Arkasodara natives who live in fear of some of them due to some past transgressions, with some of the small subset of tribes that were seen as barbaric. Now, Square Enix brings that into the fold well, but as with a lot of things over the last few expansions, they found a way to deliver on some subliminal messages. One of the things to note before we move on, games are meant to be open for interpretation on a case-by-case basis. Now, while I picked up on some things you may or may not have, or you may not have even noticed and or agree, that's all good. I'm just giving my thoughts on a couple of things. So, as the questing gets started, you meet Ogle, a female aura who lives in fear of the Arkasodara. Now, the Gajasura, the Arkasodara's fierce and barbaric cousins, are violent and have led Ogle to believe that she should fear all of them. She's so fearful, in fact, that she has a hard time even looking at Kenkana, who's the Arkasodara that's providing the contract work that we're doing in the first place. Now, as you get through the storyline, Ogle goes from fearful to understanding that the Arkasodara are different from the Gajasura, and flat out realizing that her beliefs were misguided. The reason I bring this up is subliminally, it felt like to me that Square Enix was sending a message to us as the players. Now, honestly, I don't think this could have come at a better time given what's happening in America as far as the political climate goes. To me, this questline actually highlighted a lot of misguided xenophobia and how genuinely learning about a person and or their culture before casting judgment should be the norm and not the exception. Political beliefs aside, it feels like over the last 2 or 3 expansions, Square Enix has been specifically picking and choosing world issues and applying them into the lore of their own game, and I'm all about it. Now, back to the storyline. As you go through it, the warrior light is doing what they can to help Thavnair get back on its feet as a whole. What I happen to find interesting is although that it's one big area, each of the hubs in Thavnair where you partake in the quest have their own problems that they need to solve. Square Enix tied back in the baby that we ended up saving from turning during the initial MSQ beautifully. This highlights what fallout has been going on for the citizens who were left behind to pick up the pieces. Now, this all culminates with the introduction of a small group of Matanga that eventually becomes the hub of the tribe dailies. We meet the Hippo Racers, who have previously lived in seclusion and now want to reforge their reputation and help Thavnair get back to thriving. Now, as I was heading to the final hub and where the future dailies are actually available to be picked up, this area is beaten up and in bad need of repair. I remember thinking to myself, man, it'll be really cool if they find a way to incorporate the renovations of this area into the progression of our rep grind, kind of like how I saw the Firmament and the Ishgard restoration, maybe not to that degree. Now, I figured much like how the Pixie dailies slowly opened the portals in the Dreamland, maybe we would be helping rebuild this area, and that would help the Hippo Riders actually establish a base and start to live with everybody. Yeah, that came to a screeching halt when I turned in the quest, and instantaneously the whole area had been renovated like it was nothing. It was honestly a bit of a bummer for me that it was that short-lived, as this actually opens up a lot of possibilities of what work we will be doing as we gain rep that this can lead to. It's just a bummer because I like that, but at the same time, it also opens up exploring this quest line as like more and more become available through the rep grinds. What are we going to get and what changes are going to be coming as we continue to go up? Much like in that Dreamland in Pixies, we got new portals, new areas. What is going to be changing about Thavnair is what I'm most hyped about. Now, that's going to be the end of this video. Super short. As always, do the YouTube stuff. Like, dislike, comment down below if you have some thoughts on the storyline and its direction. Maybe some of the things I said. Make sure to hit that subscribe button if you want to see more content in the future. But until next time, I'm Drew. Take care, folks.